I went into Target for one thing. I left with this. And this right here, this is exactly how little treats turn into why am I still broke? So today we're doing receipt therapy. I'm breaking down the 7 money habits that have actually worked in my real life, especially after moments like this, where nothing felt reckless, nothing felt dramatic, but the receipt still told a different story. When I look back at this Target receipt, nothing on it is shocking. There's no single item that makes me think, what was I doing? Every purchase felt reasonable. Every price felt small enough to ignore. And at no point did it feel like a bad decision. That's the problem. Overspending doesn't usually happen because we lose control. It happens because of patterns. Small purchases that feel harmless. Decisions that don't feel urgent to question. Moments where everything seems fine until you add it up. So instead of asking, why am I bad with money? The better question becomes, what habit showed up here? And this Target receipt makes one thing very clear. The issue wasn't what I bought, it was how I evaluated the purchases. That's where the first habit comes in, the one that would have stopped this receipt before it happened. Habit number 1, the $1 use rule. It's called the $1 use rule, and it's simple but powerful. Instead of asking, do I want this? Or, is this a good deal? I ask one question. Will I realistically use this once for every dollar it costs? That's it. So let's say I'm looking at a $50 jacket. Before I think about whether it's cute, trendy, or on sale, I ask myself, will I actually wear this 50 times? Not could I. Not would I like to. But will I reach for it again and again in my real life? And this is where things get honest. Maybe that jacket is cheetah print. Maybe it feels bold. Maybe it gives main character energy. Maybe it makes me look like I could have been a backup dancer in 2011. Fun? Sure. But worn 50 times? Absolutely not. When I put that purchase through the lens of the $1 use rule, it becomes clear really fast. That's not a wardrobe staple. That's a fast fashion moment. And I don't actually want to be known as the cheetah jacket person. This rule doesn't just apply to clothes. It works even better for bigger purchases. Take a $400 kitchen appliance. Before I buy it, I ask the same question. Do I realistically see myself pulling out that KitchenAid mixer 400 separate times? Not during a burst of motivation, not during a random baking phase, but consistently, over time. And if the answer is no, then I've got no business making that purchase right now. Not because it's bad, not because I'm not allowed, but because receipt therapy isn't about deprivation. It's about making sure my money is actually supporting my real life, not a fantasy version of it. The second thing this rule does is protect you from impulse buying. Instead of standing in the aisle or scrolling Amazon having a full internal debate with yourself, you now have a built-in filter. Does this fit the $1 use rule? If the answer is no, the decision is basically already made for you. There's no spiraling, no justifying, no second guessing. And not only does this save you money, it also saves you from decision fatigue, because you have a whole lot more important things to spend your energy on. Now, let's talk about a habit that surprised me. Make stock from scraps. And no, I'm not talking about the S&P 500. I'm talking about actual liquid stock. Someone commented on one of my previous videos that using vegetable scraps, and even meat scraps, to make your own stock just makes sense. And because receipt therapy is about actually applying habits, I decided to look into how people are doing this in real life. One person wrote, all those bits of vegetables you peel off, carrots, onions, whatever, go into a pot and make stock. Freeze them as you collect them. Same with bones. Once you have a full bag, throw it into a slow cooker on low for a day, and boom, stock. They added an important note. Wash the vegetables before peeling or trimming. Another person shared this tip. Don't add trimmings from cruciferous vegetables like kale, cabbage, cauliflower, or Brussels sprouts, or your stock will be unbearably sulphurous in taste and smell. This habit stretches your grocery budget without feeling restrictive. Instead of buying broth over and over again, you're getting more value out of purchases you already made. Even a rotisserie chicken becomes multiple meals and then a pot of stock. That's not extreme frugality, that's intentional use. Next up, preventative maintenance. This one isn't flashy, but it's one of the most underrated money habits there is. My husband and I have been married for about 2.5 years, which means we're still buying a lot of our firsts. First furniture, first appliances, first cars. And with all of that comes manuals. Instead of throwing them out, we keep them. Anytime something isn't working quite right, we check the manual first. And more than once, we've realised we weren't maintaining things as well as we should have been. This applies to furniture, appliances, cars, homes, and yes, even your teeth. Maintaining is always cheaper than fixing. Changing air filters, changing oil, flossing your dang teeth. I would much rather you buy floss than pay for a root canal. Especially as a homeowner, simple monthly or quarterly checks can save you thousands over time. This habit is boring, but boring habits are often the ones that work. Habit number 4. Use your local library. The beauty of a local library. Libraries are one of those resources that are just sitting there, available to all of us, and so many people overlook them. Books, audiobooks, movies, magazines, digital resources, all without another subscription. Using your library isn't about being cheap, it's about being intentional. Why buy something you're only going to use once when a free version already exists? When you start looking at spending through habits instead of individual purchases, you also start to notice where cheap actually ends up being expensive. And that brings me to the next habit. Habit number 5, buy quality for the things you use all the time. This one showed up for me in the most basic way. Socks. For years, I kept buying cheaper socks, and every time the same thing happened. After 3 or 4 months, they'd wear thin, then holes, so I'd replace them, again and again. Eventually, I stopped looking at the price and started looking at the reviews. One review stood out. Someone said they used these socks while they were in the military, and they still had pairs that were 4+ years old that looked almost new. That's when it clicked. These are Darn Tough socks. And yes, they're literally called Darn Tough, and they're a perfect example of this habit. Receipt therapy isn't about always buying the cheapest option. It's about understanding cost over time. If I'm using something constantly, buying the cheaper version usually costs me more in the long run. So instead of replacing socks over and over again, I bought one quality pair. And once you start seeing this, you notice it everywhere. Your backpack, your water bottle, your wallet. These are things you touch and use every single day. So it makes sense to invest in items that last, instead of paying the replacement tax again and again. This is the same logic as the $1 use rule, just flipped. If something is going to be used frequently, quality matters. Habit number 6, meal prep before you serve. This next habit is a small shift in routine that makes a big difference over time. It's called meal prep before serving. When you cook a meal, especially one made in bulk, don't serve it right away. Before anyone eats, portion the entire meal into containers for the next few days. Then serve yourself the portion you want right now. That's it. This does 2 things. First, it naturally helps with portion control without tracking or restriction. Second, it sets future you up for success. Your lunches are already done. Your leftovers are already divided. There's no giant container in the fridge that disappears faster than planned. Glass containers work especially well here. They handle hot food better and last longer. This habit stretches home-cooked meals further and reduces the temptation to order takeout just because nothing feels ready. Habit number 7, online grocery shopping. This one surprised me. Over the last year, my husband and I started using online grocery delivery through a Walmart Plus subscription, and honestly, it's been more than worth it. Even outside of groceries, being members means we get Sam's Club gas prices, which easily saves us 10 to 20 cents per gallon. But the biggest benefit has been what it does to impulse spending. Before grocery delivery, we'd go into the store just for eggs and milk, and somehow leave with Oreos for the milk and chips we absolutely did not plan on buying. When we shop online, that disappears. We're at home, looking at our pantry, looking at our fridge. There are no aisles, no end caps, no bright packaging pulling us off course. And here's the biggest shift. We see the total add up in real time. There's no surprise at checkout. We're aware of the cost as we add items to the cart. That awareness alone changes behaviour. Between fewer impulse buys, less junk food, and the time saved driving, shopping, unloading and reloading, this subscription has paid for itself for us. If you've tried grocery delivery, I'm curious. Did it help you spend less, or did it do the opposite? When I look back at that Target receipt from the beginning of this video, nothing on it is shocking. There's no single item that screams, "What were you thinking?" And that's exactly why it matters. Overspending doesn't usually happen because of one bad decision. It happens because of patterns, small purchases that feel reasonable, habits we don't stop to question, moments where everything feels fine, until you add it up. That Target run wasn't a failure, it was information. And once you start looking at receipts this way, you stop asking, why am I bad with money? And you start asking, what habit showed up here? Because when you apply these habits, the $1 use rule, buying quality where it matters, reducing impulse triggers, stretching what you already buy, that same Target run starts to look different. You walk in with more clarity. You leave with fewer regrets. And over time, the receipts tell a different story. That's what receipt therapy is really about. Not perfection, not restriction, just awareness and habits that work before the damage is done. Next time you go into Target for one thing, you'll know exactly what to look for, and that's a win. All right, that's your homework. See you in the next session.